Hey everybody, Bijan here. In this sample clip from my exclusive lesson library, I'll be walking you through 3 common altered voicings that you can use in your jazz piano playing today. But before we begin, make sure if you want the PDF that goes along with this lesson, see the link in the description below. And if you want more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. Okay, at this time I'm going to be giving an overview about altered voicings. So when creating rootless dominant 7th voicings, you must always retain the 3rd and the flat 7th because those are the defining notes of the chord. Right? So if we use G as an example and do G7, you could either have structure A, which is the 3rd on the bottom and the flat 7 on top, or you could have the flat 7 on the bottom and the 3rd on top. This would be structure B. Okay? Then beyond that 3rd and 7th, you're free to add other extensions. So one common rootless dominant 7th voicing with extensions that typically we learn is this dominant 13 voicing, which includes the 7th, 9th, 3rd, and 13th. This would be structure A with the 3rd on the bottom. This would be 3, 6, or 13. It's the same thing. Flat 7, 9. Or structure B is just an inversion of this with the flat 7 on the bottom. So flat 7, 9, 3, 13. Usually you're not going to play it in any of the other inversions. You're not going to do this, and you also won't be doing this. One, because you have awkward spacing of the voicings, like you have this gap in the middle, and then your second intervals are on the top and bottom. Like here you have a minor second, which usually you never want to have. But also, keeping the 3rd and 7th on the bottom is what glues everything together. That leads to the best voice leading during other progressions in the context of other tunes. Like if you're doing a 1-6-2-5 progression or a 2-5-1 progression, or when you're playing a larger progression like a tune, the movement of that 3rd and 7th on the bottom is what's going to glue everything together and allow it to voice lead. So no need to go through the other inversions, but you always want to make sure you're comfortable with structure A and structure B whenever you're going through any type of voicing, not even just dominant voicings, but major voicings and minor voicings as well. Now, with altered rootless voicings, you can use the altered tones as your possible extensions. So that would be flat 9, sharp 9, flat 5, or sharp 5. So let's look at a few of these examples. I gave you 3 altered voicings. These are really the only ones that ever get used, and even one of them is pretty uncommon still. But let's take a look at what these 3 altered voicings are. So the first one is G7, sharp 9, sharp 5. That'd be like such. You still have your tritone, your 3 and flat 7, then you have your sharp 5 and your sharp 9. Right? Really pretty, especially when you resolve. So you have G7, sharp 9, sharp 5. Another one is G7, sharp 5, but flat 9. And the 3rd voicing I have written here, and like I said, this is the least commonly used. This would be flat 9, flat 5. Now, these voicings are also the same for structure B. Right, so just flip it and put your 7th on the bottom now. And again, now you have G7. Here you have your sharp 9 and then your sharp 5. G7, flat 9, sharp 5. And then, again, the less common voicing here is G7, flat 9, flat 5. So there you go. Those are 3 common altered voicings that you can begin to use whenever you identify a spot that you can use a altered dominant 7th. Just remember, you can only use those altered dominant 7ths when the 5-7 is functioning, right? I.e., the 5-7 is resolving to its 1. For example, G7 to C, major or minor. You can use G altered. However, G7 to E major, G7 to D major, G7 to B major, you can't use G7 altered since that G7 is not resolving to its 1 C, right? One more note, for 4-note rootless voicings like this, Always use 1/9 and 1/5. Don't use both the sharp 9 and flat 9, or both the sharp 5 and flat 5 in the same voicing. Right? It'll lead to some pretty awkward spacing here. If you use both the sharp 9 and flat 9, you would end up with, let's see here, something like that. And if you use both the sharp 5 and flat 5, you'd end up with that. Right? So you always want to keep 1/9 and 1/5. Dig this, and we'll look at more altered concepts in future lessons. Until next time. Hey there! Thanks for watching this sample clip from my exclusive lesson library for my private correspondence students. To come on board, email me. We can set up a free Zoom session and I can tell you all about it. Or click on the link in the description below to read more about my personalized correspondence lessons. Don't forget to smash that like button and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you.